This is Nostrovini. I'm going to do an examination of the fights I had predicted and commentated upon before they actually took place, and how lucky and how effective I was in my predictions. First off, Josh Wallington against Luis Alberto Lopez. My prediction was Lopez by KOing Warrington in 9. Well, Lopez did win, but he didn't KO Warrington. I question Warrington's chin, Josh. I think he was knocked out pretty devastatingly by another Mexican guy who was not as talented as Luis Alberto Lopez. But Luis, it was a good fight. Um, I would say it could have gone either way, but I'd go for Lopez that he won the fight fair and square. Um, I think the thing with Josh, he's an aggressive fighter. He's a tough fighter. He's technically sound, but he doesn't. I don't think he has the durability or the firepower to really compete with the very best. You know, and he can be taken out by a fighter with firepower. Now he did surprise me in this fight that he actually this guy his landed punches and they went really at it. It was Mr. Inside Mr. against Mr. Outside. The Mexican Lopez sort of like the looping punches like this, and Josh got inside. Um, Good fight. I was right, but in not in the detail of the knockout because I thought that the Mexican fighter, who was with a very good record, would catch up to me. Big knockout percentage. Lost a few, but I thought his durability and the fact that he had firepower and that Josh couldn't last. Sooner or later he'd be caught up with. But no, and very good fight. Michael Colahan versus Kareem Bustaf. Now, this is another thing. I thought Colahan would win. I think it's Colahan, an Irish guy. I should know an Irish pronunciation, but I don't. Anyway, this fight went 1 round. The Irishman was very fast, very and he jumped on top of him. And he doesn't have that much firepower. The other guy actually had a record that was good, a solid fighter, but he folded very quickly. Um, he was just not in the class. He was a tune-up. The Irishman had lost a fight by KO that he was clearly winning with the previous champion, and what can I say? And he went a little faster than I thought, but what the hell? I won that one time. Tino Female Lopez versus Sandra Martin. This is now a competitive fight. It was a good fight. I thought that Teofilo Lopez would knock out Martin in the 11th round. I was wrong. This was a big wrongy. Even the infallible Nostrovini gets it wrong sometimes. In fact, Martin outpointed Teofilo Lopez. But some things I thought about Lopez is true. I think he's a very good fighter. I don't think he's a great fighter. I think he 16 fights and then he fights Lemenchenko, but Lemenchenko was a little injured and a little cautious. I wasn't impressed with either one of them in that fight. Basically, they weren't themselves. And then Lopez loses the fight to the Australian. I forget his name. I'm making this fuzz to a little bit. And he can be beaten. I think he's not as great a good a fighter as he thinks. So nobody could be as good a fighter as he thinks he is. He needs to get he needs a little humbleness and maybe a new trainer. His father's taken him as far as he can go. He has technical problems. He has this talent, but he can be floored by non-punches. Martin floored him twice. That's no good. And I think he was floored by the Australian. So the guy doesn't have an iron chin. I see him, having a hard time. He'll win some, he'll lose some. I just hope that psychologically he doesn't fall apart because he's not invincible. That happens. Martin, good fighting, Spaniard, spoiler, a boxer. Um, I thought it could go to the distance. I should have picked him to win, but I was going by, you know, what I want to happen. Sometimes what I think is going to happen because Martin and outstanding Robert Garcia showed that he's a solid guy and very durable. And you have to be on top of your game to stop him or beat him. All right. And on the undercard of that was a very good fight. Gerald Big Baby Anderson, Rockabye Baby, against Jerry Forrest. This is really a real test for Anderson because Forrest has fought top guys like the Japanese heavyweight, not Japanese, but the Chinese heavyweight, among others. And he's fought in Polo, the what is he? He's something from Eastern Europe. Um, Solid guy, good jaw, hard to knock out, and a good punch. A real yardstick because Anderson has been fighting good fighters, but some of them are unproven. They have good winning records, but they're unproven. He won. He got the win, and it was in the second round. But he got stunned. He had a test on his hands. He knocked out Forrest in great fashion. I think Anderson, the baby, he's gonna grow up to be the heavyweight champion of the world. It's the best I've seen in a long time, since the days of Tyson and Rick Bull. I'm not exaggerating. I think he's gonna take the title back to the USA. Also, he's sparring with the top guys, and they're all impressed. Um, let's see, what else do I got here? Terence Crawford against David Alvencia. This was a very interesting fight. This was a great tune-up to say that Crawford's still at the top of his game. The guy he was fighting was a solid fighter, solid, good fighter, who was trying his best. And he got knocked out by a spectacular knockout in the sixth round when Crawford set him up. Crawford, where's his weaknesses? So he's a good technical boxer. He's very smart in the ring, can think on his own, and he's technically good punching power, very good punching power. Great chin, never been beat. Where is his weakness? I think he can be a hustler. If he fights Spence, Spence is a very busy fighter, and Spence might be able to outwork him. That's his weakness. His weakness is he's a slow starter, and while he's technically trying to set up Spence, Spence is very busy. Hard to knock out. Let's see what happens. We're hoping this happens. There's also a few other top welterweights that will give him a trouble because he really hasn't fought and beaten a super fighter. He's pound for pound the best, but it's basically it's like a Roy Jones situation. He hasn't really fought top opposition, the top guys. So he has to prove himself, at least to me. And I know I think a lot of myself that I think somebody has to prove himself to me, right? Okay. On the undercard of that, it's Chris Cyborg against Gabby Holloway. Now, Gabby was a nice, what's that? Oh, somebody's trying to contact me. Nice girl, tough, wide shoulder, 5'4". She knocked down Cyborg. This can punch. But she wasn't fighting a world beater by any chance. The girl was 0-2-0. And yes, she also had an MMA record, Gabby. But Cyborg, they were talking about her fighting Taylor, which would be interesting. I think, interesting because you can cross genres at times. Some people say that's a circus, and she's not credible. But she's also much bigger than Taylor. So, I go for any fights that are at least, if they can fight, they can fight. It would be interesting. I think she'd be taken apart by like Floyd Patterson took apart. What was his name? The guy with the German name who was an Olympian. Anyway, the brain's not working. Okay, this is gonna be short but sweet. Let's see. Oh, a fight happened that I wasn't awake enough for. Was the Japanese guy Anura just knocked out Butler from England in the 11th round. I didn't see the fight. I'm going to see the replay. I should have seen the fight. I'm a fanatic, but my fanaticism, I had to go Betty Bye for a little while. Anyway, this is a short. I hope it's short. I have no idea how long these things last. Anyway, uh, I'm going to come back with next week's fights, plus the No Tronini Comedy Hour. All right, people. Goodbye. 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 Goodbye.